Have you ever had a super high-performing individual?
Good afternoon, everyone. We have Mr. Arthur Carmazzi here with us this afternoon. You mentioned when you first started off the business, one of your first businesses failed. So how did you pull out, or how do you get yourself to stand up and then move on to DC psychology?
Well, see, business failure, in one of my books, I think it's the Architects of Extraordinary Team Culture, one of the quotes I say is that basically there's no such thing as success and failure. There's only success or mediocrity. Failure is essentially a stepping stone or a part of success. So even though it sucks to fail, you learn things. I mean, for example, even just, okay, going to the COVID-19, I had close to $50,000 worth of gigs that all got canceled in March, which kind of sucked. For this, we've been very good at our online presence, and that's been very helpful for everything that's been taken away. So the online presence has carried us forward and grown through this crisis. So because of that, we redirected our focus. We used the potential of things that we already had in order to maximize what COVID-19 was doing for other people.
Arthur, I heard that when you were young, it was tough, and there was a period of time where you were $500,000 in debt. Like today's COVID-19, many people who are, especially if they're working on a daily wage basis, and it's hand to mouth. How do you overcome situations, dire situations like that?
Well, I mean, literally, when I was younger, I mean, there was a time when I was going around. I had started my own business, and things weren't working out in the way that they were supposed to, and I literally had to collect Pepsi bottles and take them to the store so I could get money for gas. I mean, it was that bad sometimes. And then, finally, I'd get a client, and, I'd get some money and everything else and reinvest it. And, when I was young, was up and down in various situations where, sometimes I'd have a lot of money and then I wouldn't. And the situation that you're talking about where I was $500,000 in debt, well, I mean, that's when I was working for this organization in Korea, and every project that I had done for them was successful. So I thought, damn, I'll start my own business. I'll take all my savings and I'll go ahead and do this for myself because it's working for everybody else. Now, what I hadn't really counted on was that I was really good at designing and creating all these different businesses, but I sucked at running them. So I came up with, like one of my more favorite ideas that was similar to one that we created for a client in Korea. I brought it to Singapore, took all of my money, and also borrowed another $500,000 Singapore dollars. And within a year and a half, I was $500,000 in debt and flat broke, which really sucked. Do not try this at home. Even then, I wanted to expand, and I was still in debt. I mean, $500,000, not that easy to pay off. And what happened eventually with that was I moved to Bali. Why? Well, because Bali was lower cost of living. I could actually hire somebody to do all the cleaning and cooking and everything else, so I could focus on business. So I had more time. And at the same time, the cost of designers and web guys and all this stuff, I could hire an entire team of these guys for the price it would cost me for one guy in Singapore. So that essentially was what got me started to the point of where I built DCI. The discovery of the Directive Communication Psychology, and essentially the body of work that's now being delivered by over 520 licensed trainers and consultants in 19 different countries.
Great, great. Arthur, I know that you bought this big piece of land at the beginning of the year before COVID-19 happened. Your wife and yourself runs a successful Avalon resort. So what's happening right now? What are you doing to get
Well,
yourself prepared?
see, that's the cool thing about life, right? You think you got it all figured out, and then you don't. So what happened was about 3 months ago, we literally spent $1 million, which we don't have. We took about $200,000 that we did have, and then we borrowed the rest, which was a lot of money, right? So I am actually now in debt. And of course, all of that stuff was fine because income was coming in. The whole thing would have been able to be paid off in a little over a year if everything was running in the way that it was supposed to, because we've got like 2 resorts and my own traveling around and plus the online and everything else. And so all of that combined would have allowed us to completely pay this off. But now we're in debt and a large portion of the income is gone. Which, again, it kind of sucks. But what are you going to do? I mean, you can go, oh my gosh, my income is gone. Or you can come up with super awesome creative ways to solve the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, how do you spend your time? And my wife is still worried. And the best thing that she says is the only good thing about this right now is that I'm still positive and I make her life bearable, because she's like totally freaked out because we've never been in debt. Well, I've been in debt, but as a family, we haven't been in debt. And this is like the first time, and it just happened to be the wrong time.
For you, I think because you have gone through crises, so it's not difficult for you to, hey, I lost that, let's bounce back and look for the opportunity. What would your advice be to someone who may not have really gone through that and they are right now in the deep pits? What's the first thing they have to do in order to get to the right kind of mindset to prepare themselves for the future?
At the end of the day, here's the question that I always ask myself and ask my kids. Is what I'm doing now going to help me to achieve my goals? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? You can blame things, get all upset. I mean, we have a resort also, right? And the resort was full and now it's empty. You can worry about it. You can complain about it. Sitting around and worrying about it isn't going to help.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for joining us and sharing your experiences with us.
My pleasure, Janet.